Hi everyone. Just going to wait for a few more people to turn up. We're just a minute or so away, but for those already attending, welcome to the How to Get Started in Buy-to-Let 8 Simple Steps. Right then, guys. As I say, welcome to this latest in our long line of wonderful webinars. My name is Paul Tillett. You're without my colleague Chris, who normally sits in with me as well on these. This is a basic little starter kit, I always like to say, something that's quite simplistic. Some of you may be thinking, well, I thought we'd have done that already, but you wouldn't believe how many clients we do get in that perhaps haven't done some of these basic steps in what I would consider pretty important before you start on the road to investing in property, especially if it's going to be as a business. So we'll kick off and getting started. We all have to start somewhere. And initially, when we're looking around for things to start on this, if you bear with me, having a little bit of a technical issue. I do apologise. The computer, my first time around, seems to be playing up. It's always the way. First night nerves. There we go. Let me one more time. Here we go. Getting started. Wonderful. Create a business plan. For regular attendees of these webinars, it's something I go on about quite a lot, but I think it is probably your first point of action to take when starting a business, which is what this is. You need to start a business plan. It will form the basis of your investment, and it should be used as a guide throughout. Whatever you're doing, it should really be deviated from. You set your base parameters out. Make sure your parameters and your basis on your business plan, i.e. some of your figures, your return on investment, your growth story, make sure they're doable. I mean, it's no good writing a business plan where you turn around and say, well, I want to earn 15% per annum. I mean, you've got to hit figures in a marketplace that are achievable. So give yourself a target that is achievable. But once you have that target in mind and you have a model in place that you like, my key here is you stick to that investment model and you don't change. It's a very important part of your business model. Start with the business plan, and it's something that it sets your goals out from the offset, and it allows you to focus your mind and concentrate on the next stages. That's pretty much that for business plans. It's something I've banged on about for no end in the last few meetings, and we here at Flambeau Williams do have a business plan which we can send out to you in PDF form. You can fill it out yourselves and then print it off and keep it in your files and use it for your business going forward. It's just a basic element, that's all. Next, and again, something that should be considered key is your funding. This is something that, believe it or not, we all start the same. We all come here to the business with a cash sum of some sorts. Many investors obviously do. You need cash in this business, it's quite important. But there's a limitation to how much cash you have. Beyond that, you probably need to consider talking to maybe a mortgage advisor or an independent financial advisor or mortgage broker. You perhaps talk to your bank. But I can't stress enough that you're coming to this business, you're going to be probably borrowing money. It's something you're going to have to get in place beforehand, and something I would advise you do before you even start looking at properties. It's again something we've had in the past. We have people looking at properties. They say they have a cash sum, and then we say, have you got any funding in place to buy it? They haven't got a clue. Have you got a mortgage advisor? Again, these guys, you can speak to a mortgage broker, you can speak to an independent financial advisor, you can even speak to your accountant or your bank. You speak to them, you get the line, you get your ducks in line, you get everything in process, you get your parameters upon which you can borrow. And again, it should form a basis of what you're doing in your business. No way should you be looking for property at all unless you've got some funding in place. What's next? Again, something we advocate. Yes, you can go online, you can go on Zoopla, go on Rightmove, you can go on all sorts of sites to look for your property, prime location, etc. But what we find when people come to us is that they come with probably, I don't know, 20 properties in Manchester. You go online, it's an absolute ton of properties. The job of any good broker and how we help is that you tell us your parameters. Bearing in mind, there's probably 25 to 30 developments in Manchester, there's probably 15 to 20 in Liverpool at the moment. And we've done all our homework. We've gone through the developers, we've looked at the products, we looked at location, we looked at what sells best. This is stuff that you won't know. We get a lot of off-market opportunities, again, something an independent broker or a broker in general can offer. And why do I stress the word independent? I mean, independent because you don't really want to be talking to a broker that actually is linked or works for another company or a developer, because you'll find a broker that is linked to another company will probably direct you to the developments they have. They are limited in their scope, whereas a pure or truly independent broker is someone who will work with your business plan in mind and present to you, the client, the property that suit your unique requirements. Remember, you're unique. Everyone who comes to us has a unique set of requirements. They're not replicated in many ways. Most of the time, they have different little tweaks to what they want to do. And that's our job. And it's our job to look to build a strong and trusting client-broker relationship that can help you, the investor, build your portfolio in a manner that suits your requirements and not one that suits that of the broker. And that, I think, can't be stressed strongly enough. I think you find someone you trust, you have a relationship with them, and then when you think property, you think, right, I need to speak to my property broker. It's a little bit like when you speak to a financial advisor when you want to do something along the line of pensions. You have an independent financial advisor. It's an independent one because he can show you every product across all the markets. And this is a similar sort of story you should be doing with a property. You should be talking to an independent property broker that you trust, you build a relationship up with, and they will have your best interests, and they should have your best interests at heart. And that, if you start a great relationship like that, will carry on and flourish, and both you and the broker will flourish together. Next, making choices. When you've got your funding in place, you've spoken to your broker, you've given him your business plan, you've told him what you're after, he then has to go and look for properties. And now you have to make a few decisions yourself. This is where you have to decide, do I want to manage this property or do I need it self-managed? Now, I think there's many reasons why it's important. I'm a big advocate of getting it managed for you. Why would you want to self-manage? Self-manage means you spend a lot of time finding clients, dealing with their problems and needs. This day, the letting agents or managing agents that look after your property allow you a complete hands-off approach. They're dealing with international clients. They come at a cheaper price these days. It's not expensive. This also allows you as a landlord or investor to spread your interests. You're not limited geographically. Again, something we brought up in the past. Geographically, people can get constrained because they're going to manage it themselves. They can't travel hundreds of miles to go and look after their property. You know, someone based in Bristol will not be able to manage their property in Liverpool or Manchester properly. So for a very minor fee, these agents can look after your property, complete hands-free investment, and it comes at a very little cost, as I say. One thing I would ask you to make sure, though, is make sure that your letting agent is registered with an accredited body like an ALA, NAS, or the RICS. This indicates that they are committed to professional standards. Also look for a registered safe agent. This shows you the agents recognise client money protection in place. This should basically give you and your tenants peace of mind. But as I say, make sure you choose a trusted letting agent, someone with all those credentials. Again, this can all be found on our website. We have some bits and pieces out on this tool. We've done a piece on it. So you can read this later, and obviously you can also download this webinar and look at that further. So managed or self-managed, I always go with managed, but some people do like self-managed. But remember, being self-managed, you're limiting yourself. Due diligence. As a company, we take it upon ourselves to look into every developer we talk to. Every property we market has had work done on it. We make sure this developer has a track record. Obviously, many of these developers we've worked on other properties with and other developments, and we know them to be good. Sometimes not always the best developer is someone who's been around for a while. There's some new guys coming to the market. This is a new market in some cases, in some areas. There are some new developers that have only been around for a couple of years, but their product's good. We've done work with them. We trust them. Anyone on our books, we trust. We've done our homework and we've made sure they're okay. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do yours. There's always a requirement that your own word or your own investigations should be done. Obviously, if you have questions or things come up that you're not happy with, you can ask us. We can perhaps answer those questions. If we can't and we've missed it ourselves, then perhaps you're helping us, and we can therefore take that forward and maybe go and inquire ourselves. But again, I always think it's something you should have a good handle on, and that's something you should always have a look at. Never take everyone else's word for it. As I say, we have done as much work as we can, but we can always miss stuff, and that perhaps falls on you. You're investing a lot of money here. These properties aren't cheap. We're not buying, a suit, a pair of clothes, or a car. You're buying a house, and therefore it's a lot of money. It's a big transaction, and one that you should perhaps do some homework on. So again, due diligence, very key here. Something that's very important and cannot be stressed. Just a quick add on that, any good broker that you speak to should be able to give you the pros and cons of any development there is. There's always going to be a few cons as well as the pros. So a good broker shouldn't just be giving you all the upside, he should be giving you the downside. So from the get-go, you know exactly what's going on. Next thing, buy at a discount. Everyone loves a discount. We all think we like to get a discount. We got a deal. Everyone's trying to put bids in. New builds off plan typically offered at a discount. Standard practice is they'll get a RICS valuation or some equivalent, and they will market the property at around 10 or 5 to 15% lower than a present market price. What does that mean? That means if the property was built today and was ready to be occupied, you would be buying that 10% lower valuation. That is something the developer offers you because you're putting your trust into them, and you're giving them the option to buy a property on them straight away, and you're giving them your money, you're exchanging contracts, and you're setting your price today for the future. But at that point, you need a discount, and that's why they offer them. Look for that. It's typically about 5 to 10. Sometimes you get a bit better, 15%. You can check this out by looking at prices in the area for stuff that's ready now, that's comparable. Always make sure it's comparable. And some will have a RICS valuation against them and a discount associated with it. So look for that. That's quite a key thing, something we all like. Everyone likes a discount. Next, once you've done this, you found your property, you've got the right price, we come to the final decision. And again, when you're looking for properties, rental particularly, you need to know where your rental demand is. And I think you need to buy properties in areas that are recommended, a good rental market, a buoyant rental market. It's no good buying an area there's no one renting. It's again the area you should be looking at. Talk to your letting agents out there, talk to agents that are around, see what properties are being rented out, what are the better properties, what's the most popular property. But again, this is something that you can do, something a good private broker, so a property broker would help you with as well. But again, don't take their word for it. Speak to local agents, speak to letting agents in that area to see what the demand is. I mean, the last thing you want to do is basically purchase in the area where the demand is low. I mean, again, another key element, occupancy rates. Occupancy rates are very important in this part of the world, in this business. Any landlord knows that if your property is not rented out, void periods as we call them, that basically allows your, or means your product doesn't perform to its greatest extent. And these occupancy rates are statistics that these companies, letting agents and property agents will have to their hand, and they can pass them across to you. So always make sure that where you're buying your property, there is a demand, and a demand for the property you are buying. So that is key. Lastly, again, simple thing. This could be something you consider from the get-go, but solicitor. Make sure you A lot of these companies do have recommended solicitors with their property. Sometimes it's good to go with that, but other times you have your own solicitor. You may have a good relationship with that solicitor you trust, so stick with that. But equally, we have a list of solicitors and lawyers we can put you in touch with, that are independent people that we trust and have done work with before. A solicitor's job is to work on your behalf and your behalf only. You take their advice, you listen to them, and that, again, is something I could consider quite key. But I say here at Flambard Williams, we're more than happy to find you a solicitor. We have about 3 or 4 in our books that we trust and have used for many years now, and should have all the relevant qualifications, etc., and accreditations. So that's pretty much it for the 8 easy steps to being a buy-to-let investor. What I'll do is now we're going to ask for any questions you guys may have. Go have a quick look to see if we have any questions coming from people at the moment. Let's see what we've got here. All right, we got first question. How do you know where the best rental figures are? Well, as I said before, it's something that local agents or estate agents or even ourselves can tell you. A lot of these companies have these figures on their sales blurb. Most are very accurate. Some can be, I say not misleading, but some may be a bit optimistic in certain cases. But generally, we put those right. We put a pretty. Our view is to do very conservative figures. So most of the figures that we offer to our clients come as a conservative estimate. We're very knowledgeable. Our brokers here are very knowledgeable in the local areas they're dealing with, and you can look online, you can check out figures, as I say. But again, it's something you must do your own homework with. I think it's something that's key for you. It's going to be a big part of your product and a big part of what you're doing. So I think getting the right numbers and making sure the figures are true to what they're being said is important. Next, we have another question. How do you choose the right letting agent? Bit like I said, the thing we have with letting agents is they have to be accredited. There'll be reviews on Trustpilot. Again, we have our own letting business here. We can do that for you. But generally, go online, have a look, to ask people. You may have people that you know that use letting agents in certain areas. Again, many properties do come with letting agents recommended. These are normally very good. Again, I'd perhaps refer you to the fact that if a company or developer has put something in place, he would have perhaps tended to get a better deal for you as a client. He would have set up a better pricing situation that he'd have lined up. Tenants would be put in play already. So maybe a letting agent's associated with a development that's been recommended by a developer and put into play with the development itself means it's easier for you to do. It's something they've already done all the pricing with, and I would imagine would lead to an easier letting of your property. So that's my obvious answer to that one. I think is for sure, go with someone that's already attributed a letting agent to the development. If not, go with someone who's recommended to you, and past that, do your own homework and maybe recommend or look for someone else outside of that. Right then, got another mention one here. You mentioned the very important first step to set up a business plan and also have a model. Where can we download it from? Okay, well, that's a good one. We've got it on our website. It's you just go on our resources, I think it's under, and there'll be a subsection there where it says business plan. If not, just ask your broker. He can send you a copy of it, PDF version, as I say. You can download it. It's simplistic, it is basic, but as I said, not many people do business plans, and I've always maintained a very, very strong element of anything you're doing in this property business. You must have a business plan, you must have a strategy, and that's what we're discussing here. So that is very important, and that's where you can get it from. So speak to your broker, he can pass it across to you, he can help you fill it out. But remember, when you're filling it out, guys, the key element here is don't put, you know, sort of whimsical ideas, things, property, but yeah, be realistic where the property market is. Your returns have to be managed. You can't look at Manchester and say, I want 10% returns. You're not going to get 10% returns in the centre of Manchester. You're going to get 10% maybe on the outskirts. And if you're in a secondary city, you might get some of these higher returns. But some of the returns you're going to see in like Liverpool and Manchester, they are single digits. I mean, Liverpool, you can push it up to about 8% with residential. Remember, student property is very good for returns, but you always need to have an achievable target. If you set yourself too high a parameter, you will never trade on anything. So set yourself attainable levels and levels that make sense to you and make money, but make sure they are scaled properly and they're not hopeful or too optimistic. And I think that seems to be it for the moment for questions. If any of you do need a copy of this webinar, it's going to be ready to download after this presentation. As I said, the particular document I've mentioned or discussed, how to get started in buy to let, 8 easy steps. Again, it's on our documents. Go on our website, you'll be able to download it and have a little read of that separately. And oh yeah, and the business plan, all of this is going to be on after this webinar to download, will be on the website as well. So you can download and have a little listen at your leisure. I hope it's been informative and helpful, and I hope that it's helped some of you guys out there. And I'd just like at this point to say thank you for listening, and look forward to speaking to you next time.